Who knew that you could learn something so much from something so little? Wow! Welcome back to the Real Ones Goes Fast. Old Big Mek here, and it's time for another episode of ORKTOBER! That's right. Old Big Mek's got a little crazy and has done a new video every single day of the month for ORKTOBER. I did it last year in 2023. We're doing it this year in 2024. Yeah, and it's been wild. Thank you so much for all of you new people here to the channel. Welcome. Take some time to go look around and watch some old videos. We've got literally hundreds of videos of content all about Warhammer, the hobby, especially building, kit bashing, painting, list ideas, old editions, history lessons, the works, you name it. Today's episode is something really kind of cool. Now, what happened is I've got grots, and all of my grots are into Warhammer in one way or another. As a family, we play D&D together, and yeah, just have a generally great time being nerds and geeks and loving everything about the culture. Well, they all paint things, and some of them collect armies and whatnot, but they've all been stuck in a rut kind of all summer long and into the fall, and I wasn't really sure what was going on. Now, one of my grots is extremely into Warhammer, probably even more than me, and he's got multiple full-size armies, and he's gotten to the point where he kind of didn't really want to paint anything, and it was odd because he had just gotten Rabute Gilliman, the Primarch of the Blue Beaky Ultramarines, and he was doing a fantastic job painting. He's about 3/4 done, and I mean, honestly, it looks great. And so it's like, well, like, what's making you upset if this is going so well? He tends to have a lot of projects going on at a time, and he's been feeling a little overwhelmed. One of my other grots has the Stormcast? Yeah, Stormcast Eternals. I was like trying to think of what their name was. The Age of Sigmar Golden guys and girls. And they love that army. They've every squad, the robes are a different color, like all different rainbow pattern, and then the gold is the same on all the armor, and it looks really rad when you set it all up. They've also been doing a Squig Hoppa, Squig army. Basically anything that's a squig, they want it, and then they add it to this army. It makes no sense on the tabletop, I'm sure, but it's awesome because it's all squigs. And again, all the squigs are different colors. So they just really, really love painting anything that's bright and colorful, all the different colors. They haven't painted anything in months. One of the other grots, he's super into Tau. He's got a huge Tau army. Once again, was doing a fantastic job painting it. Had just done a commander battle suit thing and had done like literally his best paint job ever. It turned out absolutely amazing. And then he just stopped. And so I couldn't put my finger on why none of the grots wanted to paint anymore. And yesterday we looked at the winners from Golden Demon together. Warhammer community had their article up. We scrolled through all the pictures, looked at all the winners, and looked at the Slayer Sword winner. And they got inspired. They were actually wanting to paint by seeing those photos. And it's like, oh, this is interesting. All right. So we get all set up in our painting area all together, so we could all paint together at the same time, at the kitchen table. And one of them starts painting, and one of them just doesn't. They're just frozen. And I'm asking him, I'm like, hey, Best Grot, like, what's the deal? Why don't you want to paint anything? And he goes, I'm just feeling really overwhelmed about it all. I'm like, okay, well, let's do what I've advised in another one of my movies, and let's put a bunch of stuff away and leave out just maybe 2 things to paint. And we did that. And still didn't really want to pick a brush. And I'm like, okay, well, like, I want to paint. I can go get my own stuff, or do you want me to paint something for you? And he hands me this mini. He goes, Dad, paint this. Okay. What do you want me to paint it as? Well, so he's got a Death Guard army. That's his main bad guy army. And this guy, I don't know what his actual name is or what the actual figure is, but my grot thinks that he's like a librarian, and he loves librarians and psychic and things like that. And he hands me the neon paint, and he goes, I want it to make it look like he's got the psychic energy coming out of him. Can you paint him for me? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can paint him for you. So in 1 hour, I painted this entire figure. It was just gray plastic. It wasn't even primered. And I only used the paints that my kids have available, which is a random collection of GW stuff, and literally one brush. And it was the most cathartic, amazing experience I've ever had painting. And I'm not being facetious. I really mean it. There was something about, I only had one brush. I couldn't switch out my brush. The size was the size. I had to deal with it. I only had the limited palette of paints in front of me. I didn't have my get up here of overwhelming 100 plus pots of paint. I had like 30. And that was it. And I didn't have any, wet palettes, dry brushes, or any kind of fancy. It was literally one synthetic brush and one figure and an hour to sit with my kids and paint. And we chatted the whole time, and I painted the whole time. And at the end of the hour, I'm like, all right, buddy, how does this look? And he's just mind blown. It's like, Dad, that is amazing. It's exactly what I wanted. It was perfect. And it made him pick up his brush and start painting. Actually, I mean, he started painting while I was painting. But when I got done, he didn't want to stop now. Now he wanted to keep painting. And now he's got the fire again. He wants to paint again. It was inspiring to him to see something that was in his head come to life and give him the gumption to go. And it was inspiring to me. I've honestly been in a bit of a paint block. I've got this huge army project I'm working on that I'm in the middle of that is just kind of, anytime you're doing 1,500 points worth of stuff, it drags you down a little. And also painting the same thing over and over and over and over again. I haven't painted a Death Guard before. This was a brand new thing for me. It was a whole heck of a lot of fun to just paint something totally different. It's still grains, and it counts as an orc. But you know what I mean? Like, it was fun to have to put myself in that situation. So, if you are feeling like you are in a painting rut, grab like 10, 12 colors, one brush, go sit down not at your hobby area, and grab one random mini that's not from your regular army, and just paint it in an hour. Just paint it in an hour. See what happens. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? You end up with a kind of a cool guy to put on your shelf. Maybe, just maybe, you get inspired. So yeah, that's it. That's the tip. That's the trick. There's nothing more to it. And I mean, I can't expound enough. I didn't have any options. There was nothing to think about. There was no, I should get a smaller brush, or I should, grab my weathering powders. Nothing. None of it. I had the colors that we had out, and I had the one brush and the one figure and 1 hour. And it was such an amazing experience. And I think a big part of it is it brought me back to my childhood when I first discovered Warhammer. Just remembering being like 13 and sitting at the kitchen table with my little collection of paints and my one brush and like being so happy to paint a Space Marine. There was just something that connected me with that moment in my life. So yeah, it just, the endorphins, the good chemicals, the everything that came out of that, just being happy that it inspired my grots to paint again. Being happy that like it inspired me to paint again. Being happy that like, man, you could whip out a pretty decent looking paint job in an hour with not very many tools if you just let everything go and do it, and not get so caught up in, am I doing the proper layering techniques? Am I using the right brush? Am I wet blending? Who cares? Just put paint on the mini. So yeah, that was it. That was my thing. I loved it so much that I am looking forward to doing it again. I am actually planning on this weekend with the grots, sitting down for a painting sesh and grabbing another random mini. Maybe I'll paint one for one of the other grots this time. In fact, I think I will do that. Make sure he's not watching. The grot that loves the Tau didn't paint with us. Still couldn't get him into it. I think I figured out why. His siblings all have like great big pieces in their army, and yeah, he's got some battle suits, broadside and whatnot, but there's no like really ginormous vehicle or something as a centerpiece to his army to really like, I don't know. You know what I mean though? Like you want a centerpiece. Yeah. So his army's red, just like this. And it's missing some pieces, but we are going to fix all those pieces and paint it all up to exactly match his army. I think he's got different trim color. He uses white instead of the gray. And then I'm going to give it to him and hope that inspires him to get his army back out. That's what we'll be doing this weekend. And of course, since his dad is an orc, I'm going to add more DACA. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. I want you to go try it. Seriously, just go try it. grab your random paints, one brush, one mini, and go sit down for an hour and just see what happens and report back to me down in the comments below. All right, we'll catch you tomorrow for another video of Worktober. And until then, on!